Please welcome Chief Information Security Officer at Bristol-Myers Squibb, Sydney Klein, and President and CEO of Women in Public Policy, Candace Waterman.
I've got to adjust myself appropriately here with this front seat. Good morning. Oh, come on, you guys. Good morning. Yes. This is going to be an amazing day. I am so excited to be sitting here with this is my new BFF, Sydney. So welcome to the Candace and Sydney Show. So I would like to introduce you to Sydney, who is with BMS and who is the guru of all things cybersecurity. So will you tell us a little bit about yourself and your role, and to be honest, why it was important for you to be here with us today?
Absolutely. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Sydney Klein. Thank you. And I am the Chief Information Security Officer at Bristol-Myers Squibb. I've spent 20 years in the cybersecurity industry, my first almost 19 in financial services, and for the past year and a half, I've been thrilled to be part of the Bristol-Myers Squibb family. I love my job. I feel very lucky to be working at a company that marries my passion for cybersecurity with a mission that is just near and dear to my heart. Our mission is to help our patients prevail over serious diseases. I imagine that many of you in the audience here today, that resonates with you. You might be a patient yourself. You might have members in your family who are patients. My mother is a 4-time melanoma survivor. Oh. Yes, I'm thrilled to say that. She was diagnosed over 20 years ago, and frankly didn't think that she would live to see 60. Well, she's 71 now, and she's been able to see my 3 children born and help be part of their lives. I also have an uncle who I lost in the late 80s to AIDS-related complications, and that has really stayed with me my whole life. And I'm really proud that Bristol-Myers Squibb has that as our legacy, to help those disease areas progress, and there's always more to do. I also chose to be part of the Bristol-Myers Squibb family because of our commitment to diversity and inclusion. I sit on the Global Diversity and Inclusion Council, which is chaired by our CEO, showing you the level of commitment that we have. I get to lead the IT D&I Council, and with Fair Mountain, who you saw yesterday on stage at lunch, we co-sponsor our LGBTA People in Business Resource Group. I consider myself a very fierce ally to this community. I feel that every time I attend one of the events, my heart grows 10 times bigger, and I want to be here as an ally with you all. So thank you for welcoming me to NGLCC.
Absolutely. So I just want to take 2 moments. You said 2 things that resonated with me. The first and foremost are those medications that you provide that save people's lives every day. I never, ever miss an opportunity to thank BMS, because I am one of those people on one of those prescriptions now, who they save my life every day as a result of being a breast cancer survivor. So thank you, BMS. Thank you. Thank you. The other, you said an ally. You all know, I can't see Justin and Chance too well, but they know I am the #1 LGBT ally in the world, and I am keeping that, yes, I am keeping that title. So we want to talk about all things cybersecurity, right? It's a big, scary word to some people, and to those of us who know enough to be dangerous, we like, oh, I get it. And then those of you who are experts know enough to tell us what we don't know. So I want to ask the audience a couple of questions. So first of all, did you know that right now the government has 30,000 data points on you? Every person in this room. I don't know about you, but I'm thinking, I don't even know 30,000 things about myself. So how could there be 30,000 data points, right? The other is, did you know that not understanding cybersecurity and the importance of can do 2 things? One, put you out of business because of mandatory contractual obligations that you have from a cybersecurity perspective, or either take you out because you don't have the protection that you need. And then last, data is absolutely worth more now than oil and gas. I mean, just think about that. You know, those are things that I think the average person doesn't really think through. Again, we hear cybersecurity, we know enough to be dangerous, but for those in the audience who are sort of in the mid-space, tell us what cybersecurity really means, Sydney.
Right. So in its simplest form, cybersecurity is really about the protection of the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of your information that you hold and the digitally enabled systems. And I think if you've heard about cybersecurity, you've probably thought of it more on the information aspect, but actually there's a huge aspect on digitally supported systems. Think about the air conditioner that's keeping us very chilly this morning in here. That runs on a digitally supported asset. Do you know that it can be compromised? Energy can be compromised. Water systems can be compromised. So really, it is that whole big aspect. And I think when we look back 10 years ago, you really heard the term and you thought of it much more as an IT thing. Oh, that's for the people in tech to kind of figure out and just make sure that we're okay. But in fact, it really needs to be thought of as a business imperative. It needs to be something that you, if you're a small business owner, are considering. What do you need to do? You need to be educating your workforce because we all have a very serious responsibility in protecting our companies and protecting ourselves.
With that said, you know, we have thousands, right, of small and medium-sized businesses in this room listening to us right now. What's the biggest threat to their business right now from a cybersecurity perspective?
Right. You know, it can really take down your business. I think that's terrifying to think of it that way. But last year, the studies showed us that 43% of all cyber attacks were against small businesses. 43%. And I think it's a little bit like a burglar walking down the street. They stop at the first house and they say, oh, they've got great locks and they have cameras and they have lights. I'm just going to keep going down until I find the one that seems like an easier target. Many of the cyber activities that we see are criminally motivated. They're going after it for the money. They want to steal the information and make it monetized on the black market. Maybe they want to steal your ability to do business. Maybe they want to take down your systems. It has really wiped away companies.
Yeah, I know a couple of people who've had real issues, and it's cost them millions of dollars to recover from it. And so as we talk about that, right, not wanting to spend millions of dollars to recover, what can a small or medium-sized business do to protect themselves from those types of attacks?
Right. Well, there's a great marketplace out there with lots and lots of tools and technologies to help you in the cybersecurity space. But I'll tell you that you don't actually need all of those. What you really need is good cyber hygiene. Almost all of the attacks can be translated to that. If you have an IT system, patch your system. If you have employees or maybe an extended ecosystem through third parties and partners, make sure that they're protected. Make sure that they're educated. Not only are 43% of small businesses attacked, or of the attacked are small businesses, but we also know that 43% of the attacks are through social engineering. So that means that every person really, really does have a key role to protecting the company. So that's one of the things that you can do, really educate your workforce. There are numerous resources available out there. You don't have to be an expert. You can go to many of the government-sponsored websites. So the Department of Homeland Security has some great information for you. The National Security Alliance has some great information. And also there's an industry called NIST, and it's nist.gov. And they have recently come out with a small business corner. And NIST is a best practice. It's a set of standards, and the NIST cybersecurity framework is what I would say most companies, especially in the US, are tending to follow right now. And what's great about it is it doesn't consider you to have to be this big business with lots and lots of funds and lots of resources to figure out how to be secure. It really helps you understand what's the right size of security for your organization.
So that's floor, right? So we're talking floor and ceiling about protecting ourselves. So a larger, like small business who's more sophisticated, what's the gold standard for businesses from a protection perspective?
Yeah. Well, I think that that it's all of that, and plus really making sure that you're staying up to date on what are the threats, what are the emerging threats that we're seeing. Right now, we've seen a huge uptick in ransomware. So ransomware is when it's basically a computer bug. You can think of it as just a bug that's malware that's placed on your systems, often transmitted through phishing when somebody unintentionally clicks on a bad message. And it essentially renders your systems useless, and it spreads very quickly through your environment, and it can completely shut off your capabilities to do business. 700% increase since 2016. We know that this year, the cyber industry, the cyber crime industry is expected to be a $2 trillion business. In 2016, it was $445 billion business.
Wow.
So it's just really growing. So staying up to date on those aspects, what's happening, is really important to you, because it's a game of whack-a-mole. You close one door, the bad actors, they migrate to another door.
So you just talked about a number of threats. I mean, a 700% increase, 700% increase. I mean, that's huge. So that means we need people on the good side of that, right? Helping to ensure that we are protected. But I know that right now there is a 3.5 million person shortage in cybersecurity professionals globally. That's huge. It almost reminds me of back in the 80s when there was a nursing shortage, right? So with that said, are there benefits of really exploring non-traditional recruitment activities and hiring candidates with cybersecurity backgrounds for our small businesses? Should they think about that kind of person to hire?
Absolutely. I think that it is not only something you should do, I think it's an imperative that you do it. We essentially need to train cybersecurity professionals right now. It's an industry that didn't exist. It didn't exist when I went to college. There was no such thing as a degree in this. Now there are degrees, but there are also a number of great certifications. And I think that there are a ton of tangential fields that exist. So maybe you're an expert in risk management. Maybe you're an expert in communications. But I think that the key to solving this challenge is that you have to have a diverse workforce. You have to have a variety of backgrounds. You have to have a variety of perspectives and experiences. And it's actually how I hire my team. We've been going through some evolution in hiring resources onto the team. And I think anytime, no matter what industry or field you're talking about, you need to make sure that you're bringing diverse perspectives to your group. They need to reflect what you're trying to do, who you're trying to serve. And so for me, I have a 6-person leadership team, and I consciously went after people who were not in this industry already, who did not have cybersecurity experience, but had tangential experience. So somebody who has a great risk mindset and is great in governance, great with communication. She was somebody I wanted on the team. Somebody who comes from the public sector. That was a great experience for me to bring. Somebody who had done cybersecurity in another environment, and people who really wanted to build the experience. I personally believe that the key to success is to be willing to learn, to have this growth mindset, and I think it's all of our obligations to train.
Oh, absolutely. My mother used to have a saying, if you're the smartest person in the room, please go find another room, right? So that means we need to surround ourselves. I mean, seriously. We need to surround ourselves, right, with people that can help us be better, right? And to your point, sometimes that's thinking outside the box from that particular expertise. Now that's your internal team. But we know that with these numbers, with the statistics, there have to be an amazing amount of opportunities for the small and medium-sized businesses in this room that are in that particular field. So what kind of products and services is BMS really looking at, or your division looking at, to aid in your work to provide opportunities for the LGBT businesses?
Right. Well, I think the entire company, in fact, most companies are looking for partners to help be their extended ecosystem. We look for everything from communication support to tools and technologies to response services on how are we going to respond if the bad thing does happen. We have a whole team here, and they're sitting over there, that is focused on supplier diversity. And it is our commitment to make sure that we're bringing diverse perspectives to the table. We have a very true and authentic commitment to that. I think that there are tons of opportunities. In fact, you don't even have to be a cybersecurity specialist to end up doing work on cybersecurity. We have a program right now that we're working on communicating the importance of cybersecurity and the individual member of our workforce, their role. And actually, we treated it completely like a marketing challenge. How do we tell people what this is? How do we not talk in super geeky, techie terms and really explain what it matters? So I think that the opportunities are endless, and I think that many companies, and I'm proud to say my company, is incredibly committed to making sure that we have a diverse workforce in both our employee base and in our partner base.
So as a supplier would think about coming to do business with you, knowing that you all have opportunities available, are there any specific certifications in the cyberspace that would give someone a bit of an advantage, or either a skill set that someone else wouldn't have that didn't have those particular certifications?
Right. I don't think it's necessarily a certification basis, but it is a commitment and an understanding of cybersecurity. So frankly, somebody who had a strong security policy, somebody who understood what the NIST cybersecurity framework is, who demonstrated their commitment, and who understood that by doing business with another company, we basically inherit all of the risks that they have. So somebody who is showing that commitment, and it's a dialogue whenever we're doing business, whether it's for cybersecurity or it's a partner that's maybe servicing one of our clinical trials, those third parties, we want to make sure that they have the commitment to cybersecurity and they're able to demonstrate what they're doing and demonstrate how they're ensuring that they're complying with whatever their standard is.
As we look to wrap up our vignette and our discussion that we're having, is there a story or information, a piece of advice that you can share with us, both professionally or personally, about protecting ourselves, about the importance of cybersecurity, and like what would that advice be?
Yeah, so I'm gonna give you two. One is as a personal individual. Think about what you're putting out there about yourself. It can make you vulnerable, not just in your home life, but in your professional life. Having a LinkedIn bio that says exactly what you do might make you a target by bad actors to try to really customize things for you. Be a bit skeptical. If somebody calls you on the phone and it sounds too good to be true, or sends you an email and promises to send you on some great cruise if you send them $1,000, it's not real. You're not really going on that cruise. So think about how you protect yourself there. As a company, no matter what your company is, if you have any sort of internet presence, make sure that you know how you will respond if something bad happens. And we often say it's not if, it's when. We have limited resources. The most successful, the most profitable company with as many resources in cybersecurity as you can imagine, it's still never enough. The criminals have unlimited resources and absolutely unlimited funds. And so make sure that you know what you will do if something happens, when something happens. Who will you call? Will you get help from? If you're a supplier to businesses, how will you tell them and when will you tell them? So really making sure that you're prepared is going to be the best measure for success. If you think back to the big breaches that you've heard of on the news, you've probably seen some that have gone miserably and some that have gone really well. And I think it all comes down to how you respond in that moment. So think about that.
Absolutely, and I think the responding piece is really big. And I'll close with these two pieces of really important information. One of the real values of a relationship like with WIP and NGLCC is we work really hard on the Hill when it comes to cybersecurity policy and data privacy policy. So just know we are working on your behalf from that perspective. And lastly, for any of the women-owned small businesses in the audience that are doing business with the government, starting January 1st, it is going to be mandatory that your PTACs, the SBDCs, provide cybersecurity to you to assist in some of these trends and making certain that you're in the front of them. So we're really happy about that.
Great.
So clearly, Sydney and I, we said we could talk all day, but we know that I don't want Justin and Chance to kick us out and never invite us back. So we will not do that. We will say, I would like to say thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for the information that you've shared. I hope everyone in the audience has received some nuggets of wisdom. And most of all, I hope you have an amazingly productive and successful day. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all.